imaginatively titled Movie 43, Kate Winslet goes on a blind date with Hugh Jackman only to find that he has a literal ball sack strapped to his neck. She spends the entire date in shock and disbelief and doesn't know how to address the issue, especially since no one else seems to notice or be bothered by it. After a painful couple of minutes, the scene ends and that's it. No explanation is given, this is never brought up again, and you're left wondering, why? How? What even is this? And that's kinda how I feel about Havik. Who is he? What is he? Why does he worship chaos? Why does his face look like he face-fucked a hedge trimmer or made out with a Tarkatan? Why is his name Havik? Why does he have no backstory? Why is he seemingly immortal? Is everyone from his realm unkillable or just him? What exactly are his abilities? And the answer to all of that seems to be yes. By the way, unlike that thing of a movie I mentioned, I actually like Havik as a character, so it's not a very apt comparison in that sense, just FYI. But Havik is likely seen as a Joker-esque character by the developers, both in the oldest and the newest timelines. I mean, you can pretty much draw a direct parallel between the Joker and the Havik. Both love chaos, both are wild cards, both have versions that come with origin stories that are almost beat for beat identical, what with them being a totally different type of character initially that get a very spicy facial and go mad with the heat. Although I will say that making Havik all angsty angry strikes me as slightly missing the point of such a character, because both the Joker and the initial version of Havik were more slimy, slithering schemers than anything else, which A, is a mandatory skill if you're going to destabilize entire realms and governments, and B, makes for a nice little oxymoron because you use an ordered, structured plan to cause disorder. It's the very embodiment of the term method to the madness. And so the impassioned rage, although seemingly in line with chaos, strikes me as missing the point of a devious anarchist, but I digress. I'm somewhat sympathetic to them amalgamating Dairo and Havik into one entity since they're both pretty thin characters. That and going for the whole origin story is one way to handle the character, while keeping him a mystery is the other way. And with the risk of stealing even more from the Joker, I'm more of a fan of the second option. I think mystery, deviousness, and strangeness all befit a character like Havik. Also immortality. Basically Havik's a combo between the Joker and Deadpool. Design-wise, I think there are some strong elements to work with, although for some reason I never liked his stupid Magneto helmet that's framing the worst part of him.
It looks like you're framing the worst part of you.
My face?
Since he's a slimy, slithery deviant who also happens to use Snake as his fighting style and deception, I think I'd lean more in that direction with his design as well, making his features just a little more serpentine and adorning his clothes with sinuous lines and snake-like patterns. It also goes well with all the water worshipping that goes around in Chaosrealm. Okay, you know what? Let me get this off my chest right now. Chaosrealm is a dumb name. It reeks of low-effort writing. Earthrealm, Netherrealm, Outworld, and Edenia all have a lot of lore, history, and just general work put into them. It just so happens that the two remaining realms that are overlooked footnotes in the mythology of MK also have the dumbest names. That's no coincidence. You can't name your worlds Chaos and Orderealm. What's next? The Happy and Sad continents? Joyville and Miseryland? The Clarity Quadrant and the Confusion Caves? The Cowardly Cunts and the Bravery Brigade? At least Orderealm has a name. Why couldn't they think of one for Disorganized Land? Look, I actually think it's kinda cool that these realms are, in fact, conceived in pairs. Netherrealm is basically hell, while Edenia is obviously heaven or paradise. Outworld is the offensive realm that keeps attacking Earthrealm, which is the defensive one. You can even loosely assign Western elements to them, like Netherrealm is obviously fire, which would make Edenia water, and Earthrealm is... oh wait, I know this one. Earth, which would kinda make Outworld air, like a conquering wind, a tempestuous storm. Now, you're obviously not meant to take it that far, but it's worth pointing out that whatever connections between the realms you do discover are fun because they're not telegraphed such that you can see them from the International Space Station, whereas the same cannot be said of Orderealm and Chaosrealm, but I digress once again, back to Havik. In terms of story, there are many ways you could implement this character. The MKX comic, for all its faults, had the right idea, keeping him in initially in the background pulling everybody's strings. I actually like most of the ideas juggled by the game's writers. I like how he manipulates Cabal and how he forges an understanding with Noob Saibot, which is a neat Easter egg because Havik was initially supposed to be a Noob Saibot skin. I like him trying to steal the Dragon King's heart. Unfortunately, most of these ended up not being canon, which cements my distaste for this stupid arcade ending concept. So the only thing you need to do, really, is enact some of these things. I'd also lean on his political neutrality more and use it to great effect. Like, how cool would it be if Earthrealm gets invaded by Outworld after the latter conquered almost everything else and is about to push Earthrealm's shit in as well, and in the last second, Chaosrealm of all places opens this massive portal and Havik and his ilk charge through and save the Earthlings because letting it get conquered would mean too much order under a single dictator's boot. Sandal. Or placing himself as an advisor to Queen Sindel and manipulating her into attacking Netherrealm, turning Raiden into Dark Raiden. This guy is a plot progressing machine. You can use him for anything. In terms of his ultimate goal, I'd still keep the Chaos theme, but wouldn't shove it in your face like the naming scheme does. Keep it in the background and make the viewer piece together more and more information about his motives like in The Dark Knight. And even then, you're not sure if he's really after Chaos or if he's full of shit. To that end, let's get to the meat and potatoes of the video and discuss Havik's strange powers and use that to figure out what Havik really wants. Havik behaves like an immortal zombie with voodoo powers. That's already a mouthful. Most characters' powers in this franchise can be categorized rather easily. A lot of characters use a bunch of techniques that basically amount to controlling air movements, or water in its various forms, or a plethora of fancy attacks that basically just come down to fire, while others deal with souls and soul-like energy and projections like power mimicry, after images, and telekinesis. But Havik defies this simple classification. In fact, he might just be the most difficult character to analyze because his abilities are so unconventional and eclectic. The closest thing that Havik resembles is a blood magic user. Especially in his 2023 incarnation, he has a lot of strange looking abilities that basically come down to being blood balls, blood links, and blood barfs. This is consistent with what Scarlet does. A lot of blood projectiles, but also controlling your opponent's blood as well, kinda like bloodbending from Avatar. And Havik sure does it in a very funny way. But the thing about him is he doesn't just use blood. A while back I wrote that he uses the blood and guts element as a joke, but there is some truth to that, because his abilities extend far beyond blood manipulation. He'll rip his own limbs off, he'll rip his jaw off, he'll twist his own neck, and then he'll just heal and regrow everything like it's nothing. He's seemingly immortal, and I don't think any blood user can do that. Blood magic probably helps against aging, but using limbs and immortality both fall more in line with the soul element, since a person's soul includes their whole body, hence using regrowing limbs, and soul users can achieve immortality by practicing it. When Shang Tsung steals a soul, the victim is almost completely dissolved, meaning most of their physical body is converted into energy and absorbed along with their memories, neural patterns, and skills. And Shang gets to extend his lifespan, effectively becoming immortal. He also gets to use the victim's abilities and appearance. Shaolin monks are able to bolster their own souls and enhance their strength and lifespans. That's totally an ass pull on my part, but it does explain why they're on another level compared to everyone else, and it's in line with the classic chi energy thing that Asians never shut up about, or rather Westerners obsessed with Asians. Ermac is a collection of souls that can exert limited control over opponents via telekinesis, Kenshi does the same thing, and Quan Chi also probably exerts some limited control over the victim's soul by way of his trance move, which has both the signature green hue and also forces the opponent into temporary submission, which looks awfully similar to the voodoo shenanigans that Havik performs. So it looks like soul, but a much more crude form of soul manipulation. Almost like a blood user who's desperately trying to become a soul user, but is either not that good at it, or is just dipping his toes and impatient to try more. Cause soul is right above blood on my elemental chart in terms of difficulty and power level. What chart? You haven't seen the power system video? What the fuck are you doing with your life? Go here, watch it, tell me how wrong I am in the comments, then come back and double down in this comment section as well. In any any case, blood is water, oxygen, and various minerals, iron, copper, things that come from the earth, so that's air, water, and earth respectively, while soul is all the four elements. And the body is the soul along with the mind, because living creatures breathe and burn oxygen, they're full of water, plenty of bones, nutrients, and minerals, and they generate enough heat to make fictional AIs want to enslave and turn them into batteries. Havik is the former trying to become the latter. He's a very adept bloodbender and a very noob soul user, which makes for a very specific skill set that you don't really see anywhere else. However, even that doesn't fully explain it. There's a third piece to the puzzle.
A monumental secret.
You see, while blood and soul perfectly explain the blood attacks and possession and the enhanced regeneration, perhaps even the immunity to aging, it does not explain ripping your arm off and regrowing it in a matter of seconds, surviving without a heart or a head, or this dance move. I have talked about earth, water, fire, air, blood, shadow, force, illusion, lightning, and soul magic, and this is none of those things. It's a different force altogether, and the clue is in the very thing that the zombie man worships. The realm that I spent more than a minute talking shit about, Chaosrealm, is the third and final piece to the Havik puzzle. Havik worships chaos, as do all Chaosrealm denizens, which makes me wonder how the fuck people survive in that place. I envision a bar where you ask for a drink and they smash the bottle against your head, then ask for a tip, or where you give your car keys to the valet only to get run over by him in your own Prius while you politely mention that you actually needed a good massage, or perhaps even paying for an escort to bind and whip and stab and... Actually, that is something that we do. Perhaps we're not so different after all. No, really, I know order sucks and all, but Chaos Realmers have to have indulged in this concept at some point, otherwise how did they build a single fucking table? Or did they just order everything from IKEA and then violently shoved all the parts into one random Johnny until he loosely resembled a table so they could finally have their morning coffee on something, or in this case, someone? Apologies if this video feels a bit disorganized, but it is in keeping with the theme. Not to belabor the paper-thin analogy about the realms that I made earlier, but if the four most popular realms are extremely loose analogs to the four Western elements, then Chaos and Order realms symbolize an entirely different force, something beyond the simplistic elemental classification, and that fifth force is entropy. Now, entropy is the degree of randomness in a system. Well, that's a shitty explanation. Basically, everything is in a constant state of motion and degradation, whereby every single thing, from atoms to galaxies, perpetually decays. Molecules become less and less stable and orderly, and things get increasingly more random, to the point where they become unusable as energy. Things turn to shit is what I'm saying. Plants wither, worlds crumble, suns gas out, people die, everything dies. Especially your dreams. Entropy is chaos. The movie Tenet associates the concept of time travel with the concept of entropy, which is rather brilliant. If entropy is the decay of things in time, then reversing entropy looks a lot like traveling back in time, even if it's not actually rewinding the clock or conforming to the traditional rules of time travel from most movies. And thus, Havik's zealous obsession with chaos starts to make more sense. If we equate entropy to a force, one that's just as controllable as the four standard elements are in this universe, then Havik's ability to regrow limbs and defy death is not blood magic or soul manipulation, it's reversed entropy. Havik isn't worshipping chaos, he's practicing chaos. This fifth esoteric force that only Chaos Realmers are privy to. If one can reverse their own entropy, they're effectively unkillable. And yeah, we can go with the far simpler Wolverine type explanation with the healing factor, but honestly, as much as I love the X-Men, the healing factor bit never made sense to me. Energy, including matter, cannot be created out of thin air, yet Logan can regrow his flesh faster than you can say "fuck her right in the pussy." How? Where does all that extra energy come from? We don't see him having much of an appetite, except for beer and other people's girlfriends. At least they made an effort to show Quicksilver and Flash putting every calorie challenge YouTuber to shame, eating like their lives depend on it, which it literally does, whereas Logan seems to just have this reverse black hole inside of him that spits out whatever he needs to regrow. It makes sense that someone like a priest of chaos would devote his existence to manipulating the level of entropy in the world, as that's the secret to increasing his own chaotic powers. It's unclear if those not native to Chaos Realm can detect, let alone control this force, but its mere existence can set up some spectacular plot twists, resurrections, and rewinds. In fact, one of the most bombastic uses of this idea would be a plot to try and resurrect the one being by way of reversing entropy. Perhaps that's what what the Kamidogu actually do.
Or something else.
And here's another idea while I'm going nuts with the world building. How poetic would it be if the essence, the god, the force that Ordiners and Chaoslings worship is one and the same, without them ever realizing it? Order and chaos, destruction and creations, two sides of the same coin. It's all energy exchange at the end of the day. Imagine Hotaru, a steadfast Orderealm paragon, getting his beliefs shattered when he realizes that his god is the same as that of the Chaosrealmers. And another poignant revelation is the fact that Havik, the man, the myth, the legend of chaos, is actually doing the opposite of chaos. When reverting himself, what he's doing is actually reversing entropy, so he's literally doing the opposite of what he claims to accomplish, which I find deliciously ironic. So what is Havik's ultimate goal? One can only wonder. This is not the kind of character that you make completely transparent, but in my mind, Havik's goal has more to do with power than he lets on. For if he completely masters entropy, he will not only become truly immortal, but much like sandcastles to a toddler, he will build and break and bend the realms to his will. And that is the most terrifying thought of them all.